Hi Oliver, it's Grant here. Now you know how long it takes you when you fly all the way from Sweden to visit your family in Bangkok and in Thailand. Now if you were to continue to come and visit me in Australia, you'd have to stay on the plane for at least another 8 or 9 hours. So what I thought I'd do is make you a small video to show you about my country, Australia. Now this man and his family have lived in Australia for thousands of years, and they're called Aboriginals. Now if you were to visit him at his local village, you would see him playing this musical instrument which is called a didgeridoo. If you listen, you'll be able to hear him playing it right now, Oliver. Now every year when it stops raining, I start travelling, Oliver, and I go to places all over the northern part of Australia, as you can see on this map. And there's a big distance to travel here, and some of this probably takes me up to about 5 to 6 months to do each year. Now this little guy's called a koala bear. Now he sleeps most of the day normally, and then he comes out at night and he eats all the little fresh leaves on the trees. And this little white bird, well, he's called a kookaburra. Sometimes they call him the laughing kookaburra because he sounds like he's laughing. And this bird's called the night owl. In Australia we've got lots and lots of birds, and this one's called an emu. And he would stand as tall as your mummy, and believe it or not, he can't even fly, Oliver. We also have this other fellow, and he's called a cassowary. Now the cassowaries normally live in our tropical rainforests, and these guys have got a pretty bad temper, so it's best not to run into them by yourself, mate. When you go home to Thailand, you'd see lots of the similar birds in your countryside as well, including even our friend the pelican. And this little guy's called a wallaby. His bigger brother is what we call a kangaroo. Now if you go to some of the zoos in Australia, you can actually feed them and pat them. This is a small kangaroo here, Oliver. Now it's a good idea to stay well away from the rocks on our rivers, Oliver, because sometimes they're not quite what they seem. If you look from behind, you can see that this bloke's a great big crocodile. This bird's a peacock. Now he doesn't normally live in Australia, but I can certainly assure you that this fella, the crow, does. This little crow has just pinched that out from in front of my tent, and not only that, he opened up a box and he opened up my milk just to see what it tasted like. This is where I live, Oliver, and it's called Townsville. Now I only have to walk across the road and I'm straight on the beach. But when I start my journeys, I start driving north and I go through lots and lots of cane fields and lots of big rainforests. I go past lots of lagoons, you'd call those lakes, and then sometimes you even drive into countryside where we've had our great big bushfires go through and you can see the damage. As I drive, I often go past lots of places where they used to mine and take minerals out of the ground. You get to see all the different old tractors they used to use and all the different equipment. This was from a gold mining area. Ask Mummy about gold, she'll tell you how valuable that is, I'm sure. This is a steam engine. If you look at it, he looks very much like Thomas the Tank Engine. Have a look now, Oliver. See, doesn't he look like Thomas the Tank Engine? And this is their old houses. This is what the mining men used to live in about 100 years ago. I'll often camp here when I'm driving north, Oliver. It's a really nice place to spend the night. The water's nice and fresh, and there's no crocodiles in this water, so you can have a nice big swim, mate. Now once you've driven a long way north, they don't even have bridges, so what I have to do is to put my truck and my caravan onto this ferry to get across the river. Now a little further north and you come to a place called the Discovery Centre. And this is where you can walk on these walkways, and this is halfway up in the middle of a rainforest. I'm probably about 15 or 20 feet from the ground and probably about 30 to 50 feet right up to the top of the trees. Now right up at the top of the forest you've got this tree house, and in the tree house it's a great big place where you can learn everything you need to know about all the different insects and animals and trees that live in a rainforest. This recording is taken from right up the top of the rainforest. I then start to move on from there, and it got a little bit more bitumen, so I'm pretty lucky here, mate, and I soon start to drive past lots and lots of really nice beaches and places where you can camp and pull up overnight. If you listen, you can even hear the ocean waves crashing on the beach. These people are lucky here, Oliver, because they can actually take their dogs swimming, but I can't do that where I live because there's too many crocodiles, mate. Now the further north I drive, I soon start to run out of bitumen road. Now a couple of years ago I broke down here, Oliver, and I was very lucky because the local policeman came out to check I was okay. He didn't know that I had plenty of food with me and that I was prepared, but he arrived with his own water, biscuits and even cans of food for me to eat. I don't think these people told the policeman what they were doing. There's lots and lots of big trucks that pass you on the road, so you are pretty safe normally, Oliver. But the road can get very, very rough. Sometimes you have to drive over water crossings, and other times you've got bridges. Soon you're in very, very remote places, and all you can see is lots of trees and forest. Now this is a big anthill, and this is where lots and lots of ants live, and often they will actually build their house around a tree because they eat trees. Here you can see what the white ants are doing here inside the camp. Well, I've just about arrived at my destination, and I'm currently at Weipa, and this is where they mine bauxite. Bauxite is used to make aluminium, and aluminium is used to make lots and lots of the containers that Mummy and Daddy use. And now I've almost arrived at where I'm going to camp. Now this part of the road is that rough, sometimes we have to hook two cars up together to be able to tow the caravan in. Well, after 5 days of driving, I've finally arrived at where I'm going to set up my camp. And this is where I have my camp set right on the edge of the river system called the Pennyfather. In front of my tent I've got this really nice lagoon, Oliver, but you can't swim there because a crocodile lives in there. And this is my favourite fishing area. I catch lots and lots of a big fish called a barramundi here. And every afternoon a big bird like this fella used to come into our camp, and we used to feed him all of our fish scraps. On my next trip I'm going to live in the Northern Territory, and that's another part of Australia which I'll make you a video of. Well, Oliver, this is the end of this first recording, and I promise I'll make you another one on my next adventure. Can't wait to take you fishing, and tell Mummy and Daddy to come out here and have a holiday as soon as possible. Bye for now.